people who Lou Smith had been taking a hard look at, the honest investigator who quit before he died, unfortunately, in 2010. And he gave the list of suspects to his daughter, which is how we know who he's looking at. And the daughter's a hero. She's running around getting these people's DNA without them knowing it. It's like kind of amazing, this piece of the story. But
I'm so grateful for that group.
Before we get to Lou and his daughter and what happened there, there's this neighbor, and we're calling, and the papers are calling the daughter Amy. Her parents don't want her outed. Understandable, as a sexual assault victim. But Amy, I think, was very young too, 9 or 12, right around there.
I didn't know a whole lot about that case. I knew that it happened, but I think she and Jonbenet were in a dance class together. And I think she was a year older than Jonbenet, maybe.
Oh, no, actually my producers are telling me she's 12. So she's a young girl, and she's at home. This is months after Jonbenet was killed. Amy is in the same neighborhood, and she had a man wake her up dressed in black in the middle of the night who tried to muzzle her so that she couldn't scream and sexually assaulted her. And by the grace of God, her mother heard something. By the grace of God, truly, her mother heard something and heard muffled voices coming from her 12-year-old daughter's room in a way that sounded very unsafe. The mother grabbed pepper spray and went into the room. I mean, it's an extraordinary story. Yeah. And the guy jumped out the second floor window and ran. I mean, it's a miracle. Thank God that unfortunately the daughter was molested, but she was not killed. And they went to the Boulder cops and said, we think this might have had something to do with Jonbenet. Like, it's too close in time. And, here's our evidence. And the dad is on record as saying, the Boulder cops could not have cared less. Were not interested in pursuing any link between the two cases. And they really felt like it was because they were just focused on you two.
Right. That's what I've learned. When I first heard about this, I thought, well, that's a very similar MO for the criminal as it was in our case. He was in the house when they came home that night. They went to bed, and then at 3 a.m, he entered the little girl's room. And I thought, well, that's so similar to what I think happened in our case. Chief Beckner, who was the police chief of police, was asked, is there a connection? He said, oh, no, these cases aren't the same because the second little girl wasn't murdered. And it was one more of the unbelievable statements that came out of the police department. Of course, it's similar, and thankfully she wasn't murdered. But I had heard that the father was quoted as saying, on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of police performance, I'll give him a -5. So he was very unhappy with them as well, but only because they just kind of blew off the case and went on. And
there's a real danger when the police get tunnel vision. Every defense attorney who's ever represented a murder defendant argues they had tunnel vision on my guy. My guy didn't do it. They had tunnel vision on him. But in some cases, it really is true, and it can result in the wrong person being arrested and put on trial. Thankfully, not in your case, but you were heading down that lane.
Oh, absolutely. And we weren't worried about this. I mean, it was distressing, but our attorney said, look, the system's broken. The police don't know what they're doing. We cannot promise you won't be charged with the murder. We'll promise you one thing with 100% money back guarantee. We will destroy him in court. So don't worry about that. But it's not going to be fun, but do not worry about being convicted. We'll kill him, because we knew what the evidence was and what they were trying to do. We had one experienced district attorney tell us, look, I have never, ever seen police try to explain away unidentified male DNA in a sexual assault case. Never. That's the key piece of evidence. And yet that's what the Boulder police tried to do. That was a real problem for them, that we had this unidentified male DNA.